Aurora Borealis. The FBI is closed until further notice. Please direct your Flame botnet at our DNS servers. FBI is closed. Bullshit. Need to be forwarded to Dan Siebels. He has a bulletproof plaque on his desk. Loose sight. He likes to go fishing. He drinks Sprite. I know he's there. Stand by for our. That's intellectual property of the legendary KMS, Rory Guidry. Rest in peace, Rory Guidry.
Is
Legend.
Nancy in Mexico?
No, I don't think so.
I know.
All right, I guess I can. Should I screen share my? No, this is just really for my notes. These are discussion points. These are, as you might call on radio, talking points. So the first thing that let's just get off the bat right away is that Nancy Guthrie has a bunch of supposedly life-saving medication and a pacemaker, and without some kind of medical attention or without medical assistance, supposedly, she'll die. And this thing has been going on for so long now that almost certainly she is dead. So if the reports of the medication, pacemaker, etc., medical, etc., is true, then she's probably dead. And so people then start to wonder, how important is it to find a dead person after a certain period of time? It's just the nature of missing persons investigations, homicides, in modern violent crime, is that so much violent crime is happening nationwide, relatively speaking, for the amount of people that are designed to, or that are employed to fight it, that they just become, it's like looking at Zodiac 50-something years later. Are they going to do it, or do they have more pressing current concerns? Why look for a dead person, especially one from a few weeks ago or a month ago? Because we need to identify dangerous criminal offenders and murderers in society for the safety of other people. So even if one victim is dead, and it's pretty likely that you should still look, because there's no guarantee she's dead. She could be in like a Osama bin Laden cave on dialysis with while Tora Bora rolling thunder airstrikes explode around her. It's not very likely, but we should identify the offender, because this person is clearly dangerous, violent, etc. The next question is, and I don't expect an answer to this question, so this is part of the thing in true crime online where people think that they have access to the evidence. You actually don't have access to the evidence at all. That's the reality of it. So if you're one of these sleuths online who has flashy graphics and dramatic flames going on around you, and you're telling true crime stories in your fucking podcast basement, you actually don't have much of a chance at truly assisting. You're not going to solve the crime. You can commentate or try to provide useful information that someone can work with. What is that?
This is The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. Just real quick.
Joy Division. Hold on.
This one just showed it.
Okay.
I think it's from 1935.
Okay. It's very Joy Division.
And this is for...
There's a lot of reverb on that book. There's a lot of reverb on that book. And black charcoal drawings. What kind of evidence is... So we actually don't have access to the evidence. So it's the only reason that I have that note is to tell you guys that you don't have access to the evidence, and law enforcement has access to that, especially in a case like this. It's very ongoing. All you can do is speculate based on some of the publicly available information that's been released. I'm sure there's a ton of holdback. There's always a lot of holdback. In this case, there's probably a substantial amount of holdback. I think some indicators for that are how slowly you guys were told about the CODIS situation in this case. We'll get to DNA as this list goes on here, but people were saying, "Oh, they found some potentially promising DNA. It's going to be run through CODIS in the next 24 hours." It's like, no, that's been run through CODIS. You're being told things at the rate with which the investigative agencies feel comfortable. And so something like that, CODIS taking 24 to 48 hours. But CODIS is not going to solve this case. We'll get into that with DNA as we proceed in the stream. Okay, there's a crazy lady. Well, she seems crazy. Let's see if I can pull her up and show you the crazy lady. I should have come a little more prepared, but I think it's worth it if we can see the crazy lady on here who drew the composite sketch of the Nancy Guthrie suspect. What I do want to say is I think her composite sketch is good, but I think she acts crazy, and it's kind of funny.
Pulp Fiction actor just died?
Who? Oh, yeah. But, yeah. Court TV, Nancy Guthrie composite. So this lady came on here on Court TV. And I'll have to do a window share, of course. Let's see. I don't know if it was that. Search enters week 3. It could be any one of these streams, but when I say she's a crazy lady, I'm not taking away her credibility because I think her composite sketch is actually really good. I have a note on the composite sketch, and I guess that's next in line. So I'm going to put it on the screen, and I also want to put the scheme.
The composite doesn't look. Do you think he looks like the guy in the ski mask?
We're going to go over that right now. Composite sketch.
Like the ethnicity?
Maybe not, but that's not. We'll go into it in a second. I'm going to go over some of the assumptions that she made in making the sketch.
Placement looks close.
Yeah. Paranomiismo. All right, so this on your screen here is the Nancy Guthrie composite sketch of the offender, and then also the surveillance footage of the ski masked offender in this case. And then in the center of the screen, of course, is the speculated composite done by a forensic artist with a very eccentric way of speaking. And basically, when I say this person's crazy, just go, if you find the video, couldn't find it right away. It's on Court TV. It's Court TV, Nancy Guthrie. They bring the forensic artist that drew this on the interview, and she acts like a crazy person. But I think that she did.
I think I saw that.
You saw that? Now, I'd need to open this sketch in GIMP. And maybe that's not a bad idea. But I think the place where you can really get the best, comparison of his features is the photo on the top left and the photo in the middle. The one on the top right really is best for showing you the spacing between the eyes, which I think she did a really good job in doing. But over on the left, you start to see the spacing and positioning of the eyes relative to the rest of the facial features. I think it's a very good sketch, actually. If you look from top left towards the bottom right on the photo on the top left of your screen, and you work your way from feature to feature, look at the place between the eyes and the point of the nose, then the point of the nose to the top of the mouth, then the type of the facial hair she chose. I think that she chose the wrong kind of facial hair, though. It's moderately different. You can see in the photo on the top left that there is almost like a Hitler mustache gap between the center of the mustache and the edges. Not sure what that is, but I think her mustache is just a little too full and provides a little too much coverage on the face. But that's why variations of these composites are valuable. It would be extremely valuable to re-render this composite without facial hair, without that type of hair, a different color hair, different styles of hair, even putting glasses on, doing things. Now, fortunately, this case is so hot and recent that you don't have to worry about doing age progressions of the offender like you do in some of these other forensic reconstructions that we see with like John List or some of the stuff I've done on the Zodiac, and what the I-70 killer was done with St. Charles, Missouri. And they had to age progress. But in this case, we don't need to age progress. All we need to do is nail down the placement of those features and then provide numerous variations of that offender's possible appearance. I think her nose is a little too wide. And the reason that I suspect that is because if you look at the photo on the top left, yeah, but that gap's pretty good. If you look from the bottom point of the nose right here,
Too wide.
yeah, it's probably too wide in the composite. But that's something that could be adjusted in a revised composite sketch.
The I-70 has age progressed
Yeah, and tons of different and we've done tons of different variations on I-70's potential appearance, just at the same age group. So this sketch can be expanded upon massively, but it's important for the public and everyone to know that his sketch is just designed to provide possible representations of the potential likeness of an unidentified or unseen person. Unidentified, I guess, really. Even composite sketches. Anyway, okay. So let's close the composite. This channel has covered composites. Don't hold them as gospel, because how this case should be solved and how everyone knows it. All right. In recent times, the way that you solve a case is with crime scene DNA, and you do investigative genetic genealogy. Is that thing full over there?
Yes.
We need water. Are we going to do that?
Wait.
So, if this case is going to be solved, it's probably going to be solved with investigative genetic genealogy, but that means that you actually have to have valid DNA. So I don't know what they ran through CODIS, if it was DNA from the gloves or if it was DNA from blood at the crime scene. We're not being told, and that's totally normal in a homicide investigation or in an investigation, like high-profile investigation like this. We're just not being told what that source of DNA actually was. It could be from the crime scene or it could be from a glove. And I think everyone's bogged down on this glove. You don't actually know if they have crime scene unless it's been announced. If it's been announced, then and I just haven't heard about it, then that makes sense, you know. But if it hasn't been announced, you don't really know what the source of their DNA is, and they're probably not going to tell you yet, because the flow of information needs to be maintained slowly and carefully. That's another thing. People will think that holdback evidence is specifically designed to like get an offender to do this or that thing. Like I was watching a true crime channel yesterday, and these guys were like, "Yeah, maybe the Ring doorbell footage is AI," and they're trying to they put that out just to ruffle the feathers of the offender and get him to do something. It's like no, that's not what holdback really is. That's like retarded, because now you have people looking for the person that looks completely different than. Because that would be AI, so it's not actually the offender, and it would dissuade tons of witness tips from. It's a terrible fucking idea. But that's not what holdback is really designed to do. Holdback is, of course, to get an offender to continue to repeat a behavior that leads to their apprehension, such as leaving certain types of fibers or whatever at the crime scene. But it's also done to maintain the flow rate of information.
Hi, Mr. JSV. Hi, Channel. Hi, Quentin Groom. Hi, Archangel Michael. Hi, Murder Inc. Hi.
Archangel Michael's been on.
I know. I just did it. Who else is there? Who's the Planet?
Planet X Filmworks?
Yeah. Hi, Planet X Filmworks. Subscribe if you're new.
So maintaining the flow rate of information in an investigation is important. That is done by both the offender and law enforcement. We saw that with the Zodiac. The Zodiac killed Paul Stine on October 11th, waited a period of time, and during that period of time, law enforcement was looking for a potential cab robbery gone wrong, and then when the Zodiac felt comfortable and safe releasing the information to the media that he had killed Paul Stine, he then progressed to phase 2 of that operation. And even law enforcement will do this same thing. Maintain the flow rate of information and steadily be careful what you release next, basically. And so if you guys think that you got the most up-to-date information on CODIS or where they found the DNA, whether it's at a crime scene or some fucking glove 19,000 miles away, you don't actually know where that evidence is coming from, and they'll tell you when they're ready. Okay. So if you go on any channel right now that's talking about this case and that has anybody come on, if it's like Court TV, you're going to hear the same fucking thing over and over again. IgG. Because everyone knows that if you have DNA now, the gold standard of solving anything like this is you just run the genetic genealogy. So everybody's telling you that that's how this is going to be solved. And it's just a matter of, is there DNA at the crime scene? The glove thing, okay, if you have potential, like you can do that too, but it's much better to have DNA from the crime scene. This person appeared to be wearing heavy-duty neoprene-style gloves. And I don't think that that's his. All I can tell you based on wearing and experiencing those type of gloves and the type of confidence that you'd have in the material, that you'd want to have another layer underneath it. I wouldn't even recommend that kind of glove anyway, but those gloves are very distinctive. So if those gloves are found anywhere within 5 miles, they're probably from the crime scene, but look for something that's there first. This person appeared to be pretty masked and covered up, so I'm not sure how much DNA is actually at the crime scene, but if they have it there and they know about it, they'll tell you when they're ready, and you don't know that information.
Do we know where the orange refillable vape is?
No. Somewhere. Thought it was in there.
What? You lost.
So, that's around somewhere. Will this be solved? I think so. Guys, the reason that we have a lot of these cold cases from decades ago is because evidence wasn't being collected or investigated correctly and scientifically. The reason that we don't know who Cooper was is because they threw away his cigarette butts. They destroyed them, and they lost the hair slide with his DNA. If we had those pieces of evidence, we'd know who D.B. Cooper is. In the modern era, that kind of shit doesn't happen anymore. There's no one throwing away any cigarette butts collected from the Nancy Guthrie crime scene are not going to get fucking thrown away nowadays. So will this be an unsolved cold case? I highly, 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 highly doubt it. Media pressure is extremely effective. And if you have the FBI and a multi-jurisdictional task force on national television telling you that they're going to solve something, they generally will solve it. Some conspiracy theory type people think that they just pin it on someone. I don't think so. I think that this shit gets solved because you can't run from, you can run on for a long time, but sooner or later going to cut you down.
DNA.
So what kind of person may have done this?
Genealogy.
Yeah.
Genetic genealogy.
Based on weird behaviors of this offender, I think that you are looking for someone between the ages of 20 and 30. I know it's a big gap, but I want to potentially narrow things down in.
Late 20s.
Yeah, I would guess that it's either on the low side of the spectrum in the early 20s or the late 20s. And there are certain clues that can point us towards which one is more likely. As a certain period of time has gone on and no one's been caught, like say it takes a month, 2 months, 3 months, and no one so far has been caught.
My whiteboard.
Yeah. Then there's a chance that you're looking at an older, more seasoned offender. If there's a trail of clue, like look at the Charlie Kirk situation. Did you see how quickly Captain Otto Robinson was caught? Was because he was young. Okay. Young criminal offenders like this who do this for their first time are sloppy, and an older one is going to be more seasoned, mature, and experienced. So I think that you're going to be looking for an offender between the ages of 25 and 30, but I will expand that range to say 20 and 30 because of certain behaviors. The weird Bitcoin Asperger's weirdo shit that's going on in this case could hint us towards a younger offender, but again, the amount of time that's gone by now is making me lean towards an older offender with potentially mentally stunted growth in some way. This person, I estimated originally that they were some kind of gamer type, but now I'm starting to not feel that as much. Now I think it's like a weird person between the ages of 25 and 30. Yeah, that cool. Who?
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I don't know what it is. I think maybe the benzene rings too. They're in the wrong place.
Which one?
Start at the far left and do a vertical line. No, far left. All the way.
I don't know what you mean.
Like this.
That's it.
No. You go far left vertical line. And then you take this one.
Oh.
And then you go like hello blip blips. And then you go like this. So, yeah, I want to revise my original profile. When I was telling you guys that information yesterday, 2 days ago, I was operating. I said it on the stream that every single thing that I knew about this case was in the chat on that stream, and it was all primarily being relayed to me by, entirely, but primarily by one user, Quentin Broom. And now I've been listening to a little bit of stuff and looking at it a little bit with a second to digest the information. And I think this offender is probably 25 to 30. Yeah, with bizarre like mental something is wrong with them mentally, and the Bitcoin is probably a ruse at this point, which also leans towards a potentially older offender. Now, I could be even wrong. I could be estimating low. This person could be in their 30s. I don't think that. Don't take a profile like that and just be like, okay, well, that's who we're. But it's more the profile when they age. This is something to look at too, with people. I think that people aren't aware of this. That when a criminal profile is developed and they talk about the age of the offender, that can be based on a couple different things. One of those things is like physical descriptions and the types of words that are used and et cetera like that. But there's another element of that, and it's their apparent psychological age. So if someone who's running around Sacramento committing serial rapes is acting like a 19-year-old but is actually 31, which is essentially what happened in the EAR case, then their psychological profile is going to suggest that it's a younger offender. But it's not a younger offender. It's just a 31-year-old retard. Okay. What kind of person may have done this? If you don't have DNA, what do you have? Well, then things become pretty grim. Because now you're talking about tracing ski masks and backpacks. And I think that there's every possibility that that backpack and everything he's wearing were stolen together at one time in a distant Walmart far, far away. Depending on how old this person is, he could have gone to, New York to a Walmart. I don't know if there's Walmarts in New York, but Pennsylvania or something like that. Go to the Walmart, fill up that backpack at Walmart with all the things that he's wearing in the crime. It might not even be a real gun. Who knows? It could be a fucking pellet pistol. Who knows? He could have taken that at Walmart, put it all in the backpack, and fucking leave. No one would ever know that. They'd never be able to trace those purchases. So if it's a seasoned offender, that's what he would do. The fact that those purchases haven't been traced yet, supposedly, or to our knowledge, makes me think that he may have done exactly what I've described in filling up a backpack in a distant galaxy far, far away at a Walmart, and then leaving and so it'll never be traced. Okay. So really what you need is DNA to solve this thing, or a witness report to come out and say, I recognize the guy in the video. And that can happen even with a ski mask. I think if a lot of you guys saw me wearing a ski mask, which you have when I was doing the East Area Rapist and in my documentary, I think if you saw me with a ski mask, you'd still know it's me. So sometimes even a witness identification can come up as a result of the composite sketch and variations of the composite sketch, the ski mask picture, and then just enough circulation in the media. Someone recognizes, hey, my uncle's acting weird, and he looks like that. And then the tip gets called in. So it's possible to solve it that way, but that's old school way of doing it. Now we live in the space age, Star Wars. And so if we want to identify an offender, we get his DNA and we build his family tree. And we smoke his ass. You take this part off. And you take that part off.
How about that?
Because I was going to show it on the stream and I noticed that. So,
There. Now you can show it. Here's my whiteboard.
that's good on the wall.
Here's my
I got a good view of it. Blip, blip.
There you go.
Oh, they say blip, blip, though.
Oh, I fucked up.
It doesn't matter. They say that too. Blip, blip.
Wait.
Yesterday,
Like that?
yeah. Yesterday, the guinea pig, oh no, it was 2 days ago, I guess. One of the guinea pigs, and I think it was Sadie, said, I don't know for sure, it could have been Lily that did this. But
No.
she said whip, whip, where it phonetically sounded exactly like a person in a high-pitched voice saying whip, whip. So that has become relevant for the guinea pigs conversation now, is where that comes from.
Those are W's. Anyway.
Yeah.
Hi. Okay. Back to the program.
All right. So if you don't have DNA, what do you have? Hopefully not an unsolved case. But I just think that not enough time. And I also want to say that what's up with Cash Paddle? Is he still in charge of the FBI? Because I hope not. If Cash Paddle's in charge of the FBI, this solve is going to come from state law enforcement. That's what I tell you. Yeah, so Cash Paddle is still in charge of the FBI. I would let the state police take control of this investigation. I think that's where your solve's going to come from. What?
Should I go get combos?
If you want to. Yeah. You want to do that?
Or we'll go on the way.
We'll go in the afternoon.
We are?
Yeah. It's nice to see you. So, I think maybe law enforcement is just up against a more seasoned offender in a more high-profile situation than they're used to. Like, Captorado Robinson was extremely easy to catch. Fumato Captorado was captured because he was just a witness called it in on a tip at McDonald's. And so that's not even really their work. The only work that they did was propagating his image to enough people that someone called it in when they saw him at McDonald's. That's how they captured Fumato Captorado. Captorado Robinson was called in by his parents. So you're beginning to see a pattern where high-profile cases are not being solved by this incredible magic of the government, though it does exist in cases like EAR. That's how it was done. Yeah.
You have any dishes in the sink?
No. Not us.
You guys walking?
Yeah, we're going to probably go in the afternoon, though.
Alright. You're allowed to do that?
Yeah, I think so.
Alright.
And so we saw EAR solved with space-age technology, but that's because everything else failed first. So, and it took such a long time to do that. But what we're seeing with the current unsolved cases, or current high-profile cases, is that they're just getting solved by tips and stuff. So the government is capable of solving something with IgG. Koberger was captured with IgG. It wasn't a tip that, So it does happen. But maybe the government, right, and that was on a lot of the incredible work of Idaho, I think. I think the Idaho State Police did such a good job with Koberger that the government, and I don't think Cash Paddle was running the FBI back then, was he? When was Cash Paddle appointed to the FBI? Because things really went downhill from there, at least on the federal level. I mean, they really did. Things have gone.
What's Cash Paddle?
He's the head of the FBI. Cash Patel.
Oh, that's...
I call him Cash Paddle. What's his full name? His name is fucking Cash App. Why? How do we have the head of the FBI's name is Cash App? My name is Cash App. If you pronounce that Y silently, a whole world of possibility opens up. So how long has he been doing this?
Look at his eyes in that.
Yeah, he's crazy looking. He always looks like that. So, yeah, he wasn't even made head of the FBI until November of 24? Wow. Okay. Yeah, so he came along after Koberger was solved. And so we're hoping for two things right now. It's a witness identification, which is still possible given the likeness of the offender that's been circulated. Or a space age solve with IgG. No, just referencing it in regards to how it was solved with space age technology, which is IgG. So the space age solve can take some weeks, though. So just be patient. And if they have that solved, they will use it. It's being pursued. Yeah. It's definitely being pursued, the IgG angle. Last couple notes to mention here is that if you're a podcaster or like someone on a radio show, blah, 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 you're not going to solve this case, so just settle down. because a lot of people are like what happened in Idaho with podcasters going crazy and like embedding themselves in the investigation need not happen here. Because you guys are just going to do damage to the case. If you have some input, if you have some logical scientific input, of course share it with as many people as you can to try to get ideas out there and see what we can whittle away as true and false. But don't start chasing people around in Tucson, because you're not going to help anybody. And you also don't have access to the evidence. Like a lot of these podcasters think that they have access to the evidence. It's hilarious. And they're like, yes, we have the DNA. It's like, do you have that? We went to the moon. You don't even know what DNA you have and where it comes from. Law enforcement knows that information. And so until it's announced, and maybe it could be announced 5 minutes ago and I just don't know about it. But my point is that you won't know about it until it's announced, where the DNA comes from. So you don't have access to any evidence. So don't chase people around on the streets of Tucson. You're not helping anyone doing that.
Yeah, journalists don't get any recognition.
Well, they're good, but just conduct yourselves like civilized people in an investigation. And keep.
I took journalism, but that's it. I'm not a journalist. Anyway, okay.
Key phrase here is you don't have access to the evidence. So just settle down, guys. Everybody wants. It's never been solved on the internet. Have you guys noticed yet? Never gets solved on the internet, ever. I think Reddit did it one time. I don't remember the case, and I think it was like in Europe. Anyway, but Reddit actually had to solve one time. It almost never happens. The internet solves something. They did a lot of damage in the Boston Marathon case. I don't think Sunil Tripathi was committed suicide because of what Reddit did. I think there's something deeper and more sinister going on. But whatever happened in Boston, whether those were smoke bombs or real bombs, as I put on my stream yesterday, go to CenterForInformedAmerica.com. Whatever happened in Boston, the internet acted a fool and started chasing people around. And so don't do that in these cases, because you don't have access to the evidence. All right, since there's no chat, I'll pretty much close things out. Live from a spinning ball.
Bye.
They won't ban